But the event that really got Australia rolling was the Australian gold rush of 1851, and that's reflected by the creation of the state of Victoria. Although gold may have been discovered in Australia as early as 1814, the gold rush actually started in 1851 when a prospector by the name of Edward Hammond Hargraves claimed the discovery of payable gold near Bathurst in New South Wales, at a site Edwards Hargraves called Ophir. 6 months later, the gold was found in Victoria. Prior to Hargraves' discovery, plenty of gold had been discovered in Australia by others, including a Reverend W. B. Clark in 1841, with further finds in 1844. Now, when Clark reported his discovery to the New South Wales governor, George Gipps, Gipps asked Clark to "put them away, Mr. Clark, or we shall all have our throats cut." Gold finds in a convict society were apparently not welcome at the time. In any event, the folks in Melbourne started losing all their citizens to the goldfields in New South Wales. And so the people in Melbourne decided that they had to put a bounty on finding gold local to Melbourne. And that's exactly what they did in 1851. And their efforts at finding gold near the Melbourne area were rewarded. In fact, that reward is actually given out repeatedly. There's an entire list of people who found gold in the Melbourne area and which were rewarded by the local government for that find.
I'm in the gold fields at Ballarat.
I can tell you. We'll have a couple and we'll work on stuff after that, mate.
The city of Ballarat found itself at the center of the gold strike in Victoria. The techniques that were used for gold mining are the classic techniques for surface mining that you found out in the California gold rush of 1849. Remember, this occurred just immediately after the 1849 gold rush, and so the technology is essentially the same. Not only that, many of the miners are essentially the same. Many of the miners that were working in Ballarat had come from the United States and had experience in the California gold fields. The techniques in demonstration here include the ubiquitous panning for gold, and this is a gold cradle. It's still in use. You can still find gold with it. There is still gold in Ballarat that can be found and is found from time to time. As a matter of fact, a section of Ballarat, the section we're in, is called Sovereign Hill. And basically what it does is it recreates the atmosphere and gold mining techniques of the early gold rush days. Sovereign Hill gives children and their parents a shot at real gold mining for real gold.
Right there, that's the piece of gold, okay? In this young man's pants. It's yours, my friend. Right, now if you want to take your gold home, up there in the Waterloo store for $1 Aussie, you can buy one little bottle and pop the gold in the bottle and take it all the way home. There you are. One of your mates has found one. Everybody can do the same. But that's the way you do it. I can see me do it. My pan didn't have a bit of gold. Look at that somewhere. Sorry.
Actually, panning for gold isn't the only thing that's recreated here at Sovereign Hill. There's an entire town that's recreated. A number of equine rides are available. And there's also a number of demonstrations, including this gold pouring demonstration.
First of all, I'll just remove everything from here. Now, first of all, this is a cast iron mould, so we're going to pour the gold into that. Simply shapes the gold. The only way I can actually tell when the gold is ready is by sight. So looking inside the crucible, or looking inside the furnace, I can see the gold inside the crucible. Things haven't proceeded as fast as I thought, so we are still roughly, well, I would say 73.5 seconds away. temperature, well, what you see on the back of the bricks is coming off the gold in the crucible as well as that flame. So that virtually gives you a bit of an idea of this 1200 degrees that we're about to deal with. Just to give ourselves a bit of time for the gold, we have roughly about 8 ladies and gentlemen. So if you are ready to see some gold, well then it is ready for you. So just give it a couple more seconds. And here we go. This is what you'll come to see. This beautiful metal simply known as gold. Now, of course, as you look inside the crucible, what you also now see is that 1200 degrees of temperature. Looks pretty hot. I can assure you it is. So hot, in fact, that if you were to stick your hand in there to feel if all the gold was out of that crucible, it would be a waste of time. Only because your fingers would be burnt off, so you wouldn't have anything to feel with. Yes. So that's how we do this job of purifying. As I said, important, simple, lengthy, and of course quite dangerous. However, when it does come to gold, there is always more to show people. Indeed, a very expensive and precious metal, but also a metal that does things that other metals don't. For instance, the ability to conduct heat. Gold, I can assure you, is the best conductor of heat that we have. And because of that ability, this piece of gold has now dropped down to a temperature of 900 degrees. It is simply transferred or conducted the heat through itself. The heat has gone into the base of the mould, as you can see, and that now gives this gold a reason for that heat loss. But it becomes solid quickly and is now quite solid. So, there's the gold for you to see. Now, just to prove that it's solid, I have a stick of wood. And of course, at 900 degrees, it is, of course, rather warm. Well, actually, really hot. Just the heat coming out of the gold is the only thing setting that stick on fire. So yes, we still have to be very, very careful. Of course, gold has to have a reason to lose heat, but unfortunately it's sitting here on this tray at the moment cooling naturally, which means that there isn't any reason for the gold to lose any heat, which also means that we are now sitting here for about 2 or 3 hours waiting for something to happen. Now, of course, we can't sit here for that amount of time, and of course there are other things to see and do. So what I am going to do is hopefully give this gold another reason to lose more heat, simply by placing it into this tub of water. Now that certainly looks like something's happened. So may I just very quickly say that I did indeed take this gold to a temperature of 1,200 degrees. I do remember saying that once the gold is poured into this mould, that the temperature would drop to 900 degrees. And then of course a moment ago at 900 degrees, place the gold into that water, talking about its amazing ability to conduct heat. But ladies and gentlemen, I have hopefully shown you how gold is purified. But so far I've only spoken in theory about how gold will conduct heat, haven't I? So it is my job now to prove that it does do such a good job. Well, in actual fact, I hope it does. Alright, but this ability to conduct heat and having given the gold reason to lose heat means that it is of course now quite safe to be handled. Approximately 3 kilos of gold is what I'm holding here in my hand at this moment. This is indeed 99.99% pure. However, this piece of gold on gold price today is worth just over 140,000 Australian dollars.
Gold mining in Ballarat became very popular, and the result was a huge influx of population and a huge influx of crime. The local constabulary and military were basically overwhelmed by what there was to do. And the fact that there were Americans here was an additional problem because the Americans had 6 shooters, whereas the constables generally had only 1 shot. So the constables were actually outgunned. In addition, the Americans tended to agitate against the British government, And finally, the constables discovered that they could actually make more money gold mining than they could properly doing their jobs as constables. This led to two results. First of all, the constables tried to increase their wages as much as they possibly could in various criminal ways. And secondly, many of them actually left for the gold fields. Those that left for the gold fields usually had to be replaced, and the only major source of manpower was down in Vandemann's land. That's right, people who had been convicts all of a sudden become constables in Victoria in the gold mines. And the result of that, of course, is a rather corrupt police force. The Ballarat mines eventually went underground looking for more gold. And the major problem with finding gold in these deeper mines was the water table. It had to be pumped out. So large hydraulic pumps were brought in, and the water table was substantially lowered so that they could get to the gold. The mine tunnels themselves were lined with timber in order to make them safe, and the result of that is that huge amounts of timber had to be brought in. The result of all this mining, of course, was that substantial, very large nuggets of gold were in fact found in the Ballarat area.
This is the nugget found by Richard Jeffrey on the evening of Wednesday, the 9th of June, 1858. He was one of the mine's 22 Cornish owners. Ballarat's gold yield had seriously declined, and the discovery of this spectacular nugget provided welcome relief, so it was named the Welcome Nugget. Found at a depth of 60 meters and weighing almost 69 kilograms, it was the world's largest mass of gold in a virgin state ever found. It is still the second largest behind only the Welcome Stranger, also discovered in Victoria. The Welcome Nugget was sold, sent to London, and melted down for coins known as sovereigns. Today, it would be worth millions of dollars. You may now walk to the end of this tunnel and exit the mine.
The Welcome Nugget, welcome as it was surpassed then by another stone, the Welcome Stranger, which is slightly larger and is still to this day considered to be the largest gold nugget ever found anywhere. And it was found here in the Ballarat area. Gold mining from the time of the gold rush to the time of about World War I continued, and approximately $14 billion worth, in today's currency, $14 billion worth of gold was extracted from this area. Large gold nuggets are found in this area even to this day, but the gold mining business isn't what it used to be. Nevertheless, it is estimated that around 60% of all of the gold that was ever under Ballarat is still there. So why isn't gold mining proceeding apace? Well, the reason is because in World War I there wasn't much labor available. And the result of that was that many of the mines had to shut down. And when they did, the groundwater started rising.